Good morning from sunny, cold Burnley. I'm Carole Neils. My company is Clearwater Property Partners, and our 80% business is in the social housing supported living sector. And today we've come to Burnley to meet Andrew Powell, who runs the Healthier Heroes supported living projects. So we'll go meet Andy now and we'll show you around the building and we'll have a chat with him and he can tell you all about the programme. Morning.
Hey, morning.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, you?
So this is Andrew Powell, Managing Director of Healthier Heroes, and he's going to give us a tour of Bancroft House and he's going to talk about how his operation works and the service he provides for the veterans.
So obviously we're in the main entranceway here now, and this just kind of just allows access to all the building, which has got a multitude of sort of office spaces and some accommodation on the ground floor. We've got quite a lot of partnerships going on. So one of the partnerships is with Burnley College, so they're doing a wall mural, which is going to be a big family tree. Obviously they've just sketched all over the place, but it's going to be done in the next week or so. So what you've got on each floor is 8 bedrooms. Each one of the bedrooms is kind of set up like a Premier Inn, if you will. The rooms are only ever empty for 24 hours, which gives us the time to deep clean them, turn them around, get everything washed and changed, and then someone moves in.
Gosh, this is really tidy, isn't it?
Yeah, so they have, well, at least 2 room inspections a week, so in terms of the property management side of it all, it means that we can just keep on top of the rooms, health and safety, health hygiene, and just make sure that they're living in a comfortable space. But I think it also gives us an opportunity as well that, if you come into a room like this and it's nice and tidy, and you come in one day and it's an absolute mess,
you know there's something wrong.
You then know there's something wrong with that individual as well. So it just creates a bit more of a personal centred support environment, if you will. So this is the general makeup of the rooms, and when they move in they get a bed and all the bedding and everything else that goes with it.
Loads of storage space, which is great.
Yeah, plenty of storage.
And it's also good for the investors, because if they've put their money into something like this, if you're doing such thorough inspections, they know that the building's being looked after and their money's safe.
Yeah.
The building's not deteriorating.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see it here, everything's really well looked after.
Yeah, no, it's good, and the guys look after it, and I think so this guy in particular here, he's just spent the last 9 years of 10 years in prison. And it, sort of kind of a revolving door, if you will, within the prison system, because nobody would give him a chance.
Yeah.
So we gave him that chance, albeit many people told us not to.
Yeah. You're doing work with the prison service?
Yeah, so I work in 7 prisons now as well, so giving the guys the opportunity to come out of prison, and take part in this opportunity.
Yeah.
And since he's been here, this is the longest he's ever stayed outside of prison. He's not had a drink for the last 17 weeks, he's not had any drugs. Wow. He's started reconnecting with his family and stuff like that, so it's absolutely phenomenal.
That's really, really good.
Essentially we're trying to create the whole circle here, so Bancroft House becomes the rehabilitation side, the move on properties then becomes the independent living perspective, and then more properties then working with social landlords, private tenancies, or indeed investors if they want to buy properties, which then means anyone who's moved into employment, we've got financial stability and the like, then move into to become a tenant on an AST. So
yeah, which is amazing. Yeah, which is really what we want to aim towards, isn't it?
Absolutely. So what we're going to do now is going to go downstairs where the main communal areas are, the kitchen, the lounge, living room, the gym and training facilities and stuff like that. So we'll make us way there now.
Love all these pictures everywhere. Are these done by your residents?
So they're all done by the residents. So it's not just about providing a roof over people's head and providing supported housing. We go that extra mile. So it's important for us that we create structure, routine, and establish firm sort of foundations around physical health, mental health, well-being, mindfulness, meditation. So we bring Wellbeing Warrior Award.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's pretty amazing. That's like, how many's that? 20 at least in the last year?
I don't know. I mean, look, the awards are fantastic, because it's really good to get the recognition for the work that we're doing, whether that's being a Wellbeing Award or Business of the Year or Subject Matter Experts of the Year, which we've also just won recently. It's really good. And it just gives us a bit of sense of, we're doing right, doing good, and, we're creating social impact and social change within our community. So yeah, it's good. And even with the paintings, the social change for these from a community and collective social perspective is phenomenal to bring art therapists in.
Yeah.
And for them to see products of their work and their environment, and then it being put up on the walls. So yeah, it's all their own artwork. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And then we'll just go in through that door there. So this is the main kitchen. So I'll just turn lights on.
This is a great space. It's so big.
Excuse the smell of the fish.
Your wife, she helps teach them to cook, doesn't she?
Yeah. So Rio comes in.
Yeah.
So what we have is, when we talked about the structure and the routine, Monday to Friday and sometimes Saturdays or weekends, we have a massively structured programme. So they're up every morning at 8 o'clock. They clean the building themselves between 8 and 9, so we don't have cleaning. It's their home, so you know, it's about teaching them basic life skills and keeping on top of things. Then they have a check-in meeting at 9, and then from 9 till 10 that happens. 10 o'clock a full training programme kicks in then. So there's different workshops around mental health, resilience, mindfulness, anger management, you know, being a better parent, you know, and it keeps going. But then there's all kinds of activities that we take them out during the day or at evening, but they also have to attend NA meetings, AA meetings and things like that. It's part of their recovery. And then Wellbeing Wednesdays is a big thing, so we always have some sort of like structured workshop in the morning, and then the afternoon could be Rio in here with Liam, who's our new member of staff, teaching them how to cook, or equally taking them out, you know, to the cinema or, you know, something else, walking.
Do you have local companies that allow them to go and work with them for short periods of time? So
when the opportunity's safe to do so, so they all have to volunteer in the community at some stage, or in some guise or other. So it's about that person-centred approach then, about working with the individual, making sure that the time's right for them. So there are people out there now working for Pendleside Hospice, driving vans, working in the charity shops. It allows them an opportunity to volunteer, gives them that social engagement and being out in the communities and mixing with people when they ordinarily find it quite difficult to do so and get a lot of anxiety. So yeah, there's quite a few lads who do it. There's about 6 or 7 I think do it. Wow. And they do it on like a rota basis as well. So it also gets them into that structure of work routine. And a lot of people look at veterans as well, and we have had this, and it's disrespectful. You know, you've been in the army, you're a trained killer, you've been an addict, you've been in prison, you've got mental health issues, you know, you're not fit for society sort of thing. You know, so that gives us a warm feeling that when we do provide them this opportunity and they take it, because fundamentally they've got to be ready as well. And if they're ready and they take it and we are able to do what we do and they come out the other side as a model member of the community again, providing for the communities, providing for themselves or their families, you know, that for us is a massive win. Should we go and look at the other parts of this area? Because I know you've got recreational places and... I'll have to excuse some of the furniture. We've just had some deliveries of some new seating areas and things, but yeah, the lads sit, you know, it's their lounge. They come down here of a night time, sit and socialise, play games, watch TV. Some lads bring PlayStations down. Obviously, we've got the pool table and dartboards. But we also have an old resident, a lad called Peter, who comes in once a month. So he was a resident. He's now got full-time employment. He's got a girlfriend. They've now got a property together. So in the sense of him giving back, so on Sunday he comes in at 4 o'clock, so he's going to deliver a talk to the guys about his journey and how important it is to make sure you access this service correctly. Because if you do, then you can become a version of him, if you will. And then what he then does is comes in here and creates a big quiz night. You know, yeah, it's great. It is a community. Sorry, it's not a community to us. It's a family to us. You know, and that's the important thing for us. We are a huge family. We create such an environment and atmosphere that, like you would at home, you'd feel safe and happy and secure, and you know, and you'd want to come and sit down in the living room and things, you know. So yeah, it's nice. It's really nothing's nice. Forced and everything's just encouraged. Absolutely. It's really nice. So do you have a gym as well? We do. This way. So I mean, we've just done a bit of work in here. We've had a function at the weekend, but the gym gets used every single day. We have gym instructors that come down and run courses and things with the guys. Obviously, we've just got the cold water baths as well, so we do a lot of cold water therapy with them. Really? Yeah, and breath work. Why do you need cold water in Burnley? Because I don't fancy getting in the rivers around here because they're manky. This is a really good example of how we as investors, though, can put together a building that would facilitate all the needs that your clients have, because this is so different to anything else that we normally go to. It is, and I think the only thing this building is missing is outdoor space. If we had outdoor space, it'd be phenomenal. So Our next project is the space that we're stood in right now is going to get emptied, and then there's going to be a screen sort of put across there to separate the gym in this area.
Right.
And then this is going to get turned into an indoor garden. So
really?
AstroTurf all across the floor. The lads are going to be building their own benches and seats.
Oh, that's amazing. Create
waterfalls with tyres, and so it become a bit of a tranquil, well-being space for them as well.
Grow food?
Quite possibly, yeah, we could, yeah. You know, there's a lot of opportunity, but
yeah,
the garden space is kind of a fundamental idea for us.
So Andy, this I presume is your training room. So, I mean, it's an amazing space, it's huge, it looks like it's got loads of facilities. So what do you use this for, and why do you feel that having something like this is important for your clients?
I mean, the first thing is, I think it's important because we've got a lot of guys in here who are suffering with a lot of anxiety and depression, and can't mix with the community. So to allow them sort of to be able to progress within their recovery and then go and seek opportunities which is going to better themselves, to then get employment or volunteering opportunities, to say to them, you need to go to a college that's 14 miles away, 5 miles away, whatever it is, and then the thought process in that is like, I need to get on public transport, how do I get there? And then the anxiety kicks in, and then it's easy for them to just go, I'm not doing it. Yeah. So this space allows us an opportunity as a one-stop shop to do everything. So all the colleges come in here, the tutors come in here, we provide courses in here, staff training happens in here. So again, we don't need to go externally to do that. But again, it's in that safe environment. They know they can come in here, and when they're feeling a bit anxious, they can just nip out and come back in and do what they need to do. So every bit of training, development, or courses all happen in this room.
So what do they like? I mean, when you say courses, I mean, do they take maths, English, those kinds of...
Yeah. So they've been doing stuff recently around art therapy, budget and money management, maths and English courses, reading courses. We've just started partnering with the Forces Employment Charity. So they come in on Friday mornings before the Lancashire Adult Learning College do, and provide once a month a workshop for an hour, where all the lads then who have the ideas of future employment come to them and say, this is what I want to do, how can you help, how can you fund it as well, because there's clearly training that needs to go with it, and then we just take things from there.
So this shirt here, this is what it's all about?
Yeah, so Jordan Bancroft is a friend of mine. He got killed on operations, so the building's named after him, the Bancroft House, so we obviously do a memorial rugby match each year. And that's the shirts that we wear within the tournament. So yeah, it's
really nice that you keep these.
Yeah, it's nice. And Bancroft House gives him and his family a legacy as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, it's good. This way. You get lost.
Easily. So now we've got our drinks and we're in the warm. Tell us about how you actually got into this. Why Bancroft House is so important to you, and what made you want? Because you are giving back in a really big way.
It started for me as a child, really. Like I had a very different upbringing to most, and I was always involved in sort of kind of antisocial behaviour and crime, and I was always that naughty boy at school. I was homeless at the age of 14, never finished school, so the only thing for me to do to escape and try and find a real family unit and connection was to join the military. But even through my military career, there was always things that happened to me as a child that sort of crept upon me, if you will, as an adult, which then transpired to then further be exacerbated when I got back from Afghanistan in 2012, when at the time, my wife at the time, I found out that she'd been having an affair for quite a long time.
Gosh.
And my family weren't there to pick me up at the airport when I came back from Afghanistan, so I had to go home, and I just basically found everything out which sent me off the Richter scale. Drink, drugs, crime, 4 attempts on my own life. Wow. I just didn't want to be here. I'd lost everything. I'd lost my home, my car, my children, and whatever else. So I ended up moving into my mum's house, and then eventually got my own property. I got a number of properties while I were out there as well. Number of employment opportunities. I then turned to entrepreneurial opportunities and created my own business because I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
Which then sort of led me to owning an education company. So I then was educating young children who were disadvantaged in education. I had a very similar upbringing to myself, weren't doing well in education, so I was leadership, mentoring, mindfulness, meditation, sports activities, team building exercises, to try and get them back into the system
Because you could recognise the path that you'd trodden, and so you were trying to stop them going along that same route.
Yeah, you know, just to give them a positive role model.
Yeah.
That was the male thing, positive male role model in their life.
Yeah.
So I was working with a lot of disadvantaged children within the communities. You know, no parents or dads or mums are in prison, or they've been through the care system, or whatever that might look like. But I wanted to offer a service for veterans, and the main reason for that was like the first time I ever really asked for help and support, and I picked that phone up and spoke to somebody, I was actually told that was too complex for the service.
Wow.
And to take myself to A&E, and I was wished all the best, and the phone was put down on me.
What does somebody do in that situation?
Well, you know, I would, at the time I needed someone to talk to, and that person weren't prepared to talk to me, they were just prepared to send me to A&E. So the only person that could help me, in my opinion, was me. So I managed to get through it myself, but it took me 5 years to do that, to really find where I wanted to be and whatever else. So then, obviously, we found this building, spoke to Sean and Keith, Bridgehead Homes. They then worked with the SAS investors. They'd worked with me previously, like we mentioned downstairs, so they saw the value in what I was wanting to do, me and Rio. So this is not just me, it's a big team effort with me and Rio. It actually all started, we have a picture where we've seen the building, approached them, talked about it, we presented a kind of a semi-business case because they'd already knew what we were doing anyway, and we have a picture at home where I'm sat on a cushion at home with a whiteboard easel, and Rio, being an ex-primary school teacher, wanted everything to be like, you know, so detailed and methodical. So that's where it all started for us. So yeah, the building was purchased in 2020, and then when we finally kind of got the renovation team in, it took them 11 weeks to get the whole building completely turned around and ready for... So
you were limited on funds, is my understanding of, you know, you only had a limited amount of money to buy the building and get it up and running, because in an ideal world, you probably would have wanted to do more. Yeah,
I mean, so I don't completely understand the SAS investment side of it. You know, I kind of leave that to the experts. And if they want to help us, they help us. And, you know, quite clearly they can only draw a particular amount of money from wherever that might be, and the individuals. But look, if we had £1 million, then yes, this building could have been... I don't know. I don't want to sound sort of disrespectful, because the money that we did get was absolutely phenomenal. Do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Got you started.
Oh God, yeah. And like we've been able to evolve the building as it's gone on. But you know, if there were sort of endless pots of money, we could have changed all the windows. We could have changed like massive amounts of the interior.
Well, your heating bill's what, 40,000 a year?
40,000 a year.
Which is a lot, because it's a Grade 2 listed building, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, those are the things that we don't think about. You know, what we think about is, how can we get you the space that you need? But what we forget to think about is, how can we make sure that you can stay in business? How can we make sure that you can continue to evolve? And something like a £40,000 heating bill, that is massive. So as investors, that's something that we should consider when we're looking to get a project for you. You know, how can we ensure that you have longevity and that you're not stressed because where are you going to find the money from to do certain things?
Yeah, and I obviously supported housing is very difficult, because it's not a set standard, set rate across the UK. It's very much driven by the budgets of the local authority for which you're working with. So, you know, it's all well and good having the £1 million to literally turn this into, like, you know, something spectacular. Well, not spectacular because it's spectacular now, but you know, to get all the benefits that you would want, it then doesn't become financially viable for the cost of housing benefit and what the return for the investors need and things. So it's always a hard balance to make sure that the investments are being given to those that need it, and we are able to therefore deliver a very valuable service, because you know yourself, you're given housing benefit to house the people and sort of project manage it in terms of the intensive housing management, but the support that's needed to be provided, you don't get funded for.
I know.
So that's where the fundraising comes in, the grant report funding comes in, which is what Rio does, which then enables us to make sure that we can get these guys and girls to the place that they need to be.
So, as you know, Andy, I've been really interested in what you've done, because, I don't know, for me it's like, it's just the most amazing project I've ever seen. And I think that because I come from Burnley originally, I kind of feels some kind of weird affinity as well. And what I see you doing seems to be exceptional. You're so involved, you and Rio, and what you've done is beyond extraordinary. And my goal would truly be to be able to show other investors how they can use their money for the betterment of society, to help other people, but they can make money as well. And for me, I feel like being in supported living is a much safer environment and investment than just having a regular house with a tenant in. Because a regular house with a tenant, they might not pay, they might wreck the place. But with you, there's no possibility of you not paying. You have long leases, you are totally invested in what you do, you and your wife. The way you run this like a military operation. And that's obviously stems from your background. But you have a beginning and a middle and an end, and these people have a future to go to. So how can we help you? I mean, I've asked the question before, but I want investors to understand how they can use their money efficiently and effectively, but they can help you in your passion and your desire to help those that can't help themselves. What can we do to support you?
For us, if people were able to give financially, you are then creating massive social change across the communities, across Lancashire, across the North West. And whether that's this project and any future projects that we've got, that we're looking at within central Lancashire, you know, and quite possibly.
So if we found 1,000 people to all give £5 a month, which is negligible, what kind of difference would that make to
Phenomenal.
you? Yeah.
I'm not great with figures, but £1,000 for £5 a pop would potentially pay for.
But to us as investors, you know, that we all, you know, we're perceived to be making fortunes, which we're not, but we can all do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, community investment is really, really important, because that's what makes an area better, and that's what makes our investments grow.
Yeah. I mean, look, that sort of money will just allow us an opportunity to either continue to make sure that we can continue people's employment, you know, provide additional employment opportunities, provide additional counselling support, because we have 2 counsellors in here, a person-centred counsellor and a psychotherapist, but they've equally got their own limits for what they can support in terms of their sessions and for how long. So there's always a waiting list, you know, so that kind of money can then be utilised to pay for private counselling, and you know, there is a plethora.
So if we set up something like a guardianship programme, you know, I work with another charity and they run a guardianship programme. So I'm a guardian there and I pay a certain amount of money every year. I pay £500. And what that does is affords the people in the project to have extra things, to be able to go on trips, to be able to have a computer, to be able to go and see their family, things that they wouldn't ordinarily be able to do.
Yeah.
So if we as investors were to set up a programme like that, what difference would that make to you?
Look, massive as well, because you know, we've got a lad who's moving in today, and someone moved out yesterday, so we've got one in today, like I mentioned before about the 24-hour turnaround, but I know he's coming in here with nothing. Literally the clothes on his back and maybe a couple of bags, so he's got no toiletries, he's not got no shower stuff, he's not got anything, you know, that we take for granted. So we're going to have to go out and buy that.
From your own money?
For our own money and things. So that kind of money can be used to buy welcome packs and start-up packs, and, you know, give them an opportunity to feel worthy
some
again.
Pride.
And pride again, do you know what I
So
mean?
why does the council not support you with that kind of cost?
I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know.
Right.
I mean, but equally, if you were to ask that question, there are services that are run by Lancashire County Council and the likes of Calico, and there are food banks, so we can access food banks and stuff like that. That's not an issue. But I don't know.
I mean, if we were looking to the next 2 years, your people leave here, what would we need to provide for you so that you can keep these people safe, keep their anxiety levels at bay, and manage their progress back into society and into work?
So one thing that we do, obviously, Bancroft House is, I think I mentioned before, kind of, if you look at it like the holistic rehab side of things, then we need to start moving people on. So we work with Calico Homes, So they provide us with three properties, two bedrooms and 1 4-bedroom. So lads move out of here and into there and start learning how to live semi-supported.
And do they live shared or do they live individually?
No, it's all shared, so it's houses turned into individual rooms, so shared kitchen, living rooms, bathrooms, all that jazz.
So we go into an HMO, basically, a house of multiple occupation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's their halfway house?
That's their halfway house. Then they start learning how to live more independently and start managing tenancies and finances, although they're not on a tenancy agreement in there, they're on licence agreements, but we help support that transition then to moving independently.
So what would be your ideal house size for moving your clients from here to there?
4 beds.
Okay, that's great. So 4 beds, the usual living room, kitchen, diner.
Yeah.
1 bathroom, 4 bathrooms?
1. Yeah, 1. I don't think it needs to be any bigger. So the 4-bedroom house that we've got is actually 2 houses knocked into one.
So it's quite attainable for us as investors to find that kind of property, and we want it within a stone's throw of here, really, so that if they need you, you can go. Yeah,
but equally, you know, it needs to. I mean, a stone's throw is not quite a short distance, but you know, anywhere within sort of like 5 miles, because we employ somebody called Gary, who's an independent living coordinator, so his role is therefore to support them, lads moving from Bancroft into the move-on houses, and then from the move-on houses to independently living, so then he supports them with that whole managing the tenancies and the finances and the budgeting and the bills and whatever else. You know, so his role is to work within the communities anyway, so you know, as long as it's not a million miles away, then you know, it can work.
So when they've moved from the HMOs, then going to their individual houses?
Yeah, and that, if I'm being honest, and a lot of supported housing providers will tell you exactly the same, that is the biggest barrier to moving anybody on, whether it's from here or the move on stuff, because you know, their housing stocks are not massive. Private landlords, as I was saying, you know, they're all selling the properties, so that stock out there is reducing so much, which is not enabling people to move on, which, you know, through experience as well, is actually a barrier for the, not just a barrier for moving on, but a barrier to their mental health as well, because they can almost become, what's the word I want to use, sort of, they get stuck in a rut here, and then they no longer want to be here. So it actually starts affecting the mental health when we've already got them to a place where it's great. Yeah. You know, they start resenting, that's the word I'm looking for, resenting the project or resenting the services, because they're still expected to carry on engaging when they actually don't need to engage. Yeah. But equally that then creates turbulence within the projects as well, sort of like, for want for a better word, you know, someone's now being allowed to just do what they want, but that individual is ready to go. But there's just nothing in the communities. So
why is there nothing in the communities? So, I mean, there are obviously lots of houses of it around. We can buy them. Why is that not happening?
To answer your question, I don't know why people are not buying these properties. I
so if I bought a house, if I went out into Burnley tomorrow and I bought a house, a typical 2-3 bedroom terrace, and I made that available to you, how would that work?
So that would work much the same as a move on properties. But I think the biggest thing for me is to say to investors, look, if you're wanting to help and do stuff like that, and you buy, let's just go for the 4-bedroom HMO, when people move from the move on properties into that, that then can become an HMO but for professionals, let's say, and they pay £90 or £110 a week, bills all inclusive, and they then become licensed tenants. Yeah. The issue would then be the return on the investment, because we have 40 people coming in, 40 people coming out this year. Many of them have gone back to their families and whatever else, but what I can't say to investors is, if you buy that property, I can't guarantee in the next 3 weeks that I'm going to fill that house, because I need to wait until someone's ready to go in there. Yeah. So if someone's willing to buy the property, do it up, and then wait for their return on investment, so then becomes a longer game, that would work.
So you obviously know how long your people have been here, and you would know when they're ready to leave, because most of the clients are here on a 24-month programme. Yeah. Yeah. So we could plan that to a degree, because we would know that you've got, you know, people moving 2 in 1 month, 1 in the next month, and 1 in the next month. So within a space of 3 months, the house would be full.
Yeah, so if we take, for example, now off the top of my head, now we've got one guy who's in the move on houses, but he wants to move back to Preston.
Right.
So he wants to be with his children, so he wants a property on his own with his daughters and his children.
And how does he then get a property? Because
so he's now going through...
The computer will say,
Yeah, so he's going through the local authority and Community Gateway, which is the local RP over there, to get a property. But again, the stock market, the waiting list for people getting in there,
but there are no houses available through the housing system. You know, I mean, just as a reference, in Bolton, I know that there are 71 young people aged 18 to 24 who have nowhere to live. And I work with a charity there, and I've just found them a building that can accommodate 47 people. So that's, you know, great.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere for these people to go. So we cannot rely upon social services anymore because they don't have the stock. So we as investors need to step up, and we need to then look to provide the accommodation, but we will make money from it. How do we assure the investors that the rent will get paid?
So the rent will get paid. So the other difficult thing is we work with a lot of people who are never going to be work ready either. But what they are going to be ready is to be a member of society again.
Right.
So anyone moving into those sorts of properties, so we talk about the guys here, this guy's going to Preston. We've likely got 4 people, 2 within here, 2 within the move on properties, that if there was an opportunity for them to do that, they could move into a building, okay? Like the HMO that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But neither one of them, they'll never work again. So, but they're on quite a substantial amount of
So we need to work on the local authority rates.
Yes.
And
they can top it up.
Yeah. And then if those rates work, the project will work.
Yeah.
So if we can make it work on that rate, then we're fine.
Yeah.
What's a typical house cost for your clients? What would you pay for a typical house around here? 100,000?
Or for, yeah, give or take. Yeah.
So we get £100,000, we buy a house, we'd house 4 people, and what is the LHA rate here?
72 quid, I think it is.
So £72 per week per room, times 4, times 52.
Yeah, and then the tenants top the rest up to the 90 or the £110 a week. Because I think that's the important thing as well, is like, you know, it's all in.
Yeah.
If we have it all in, because some of them have got a lot of benefits and others have got, you know, kind of basic benefits.
Yeah.
So
that would work. That is actually pretty much a regular rate. Yeah, and if they know that they've got you here. So those kind of projects would work for the investors, and that would then allow them to support you, to support the community, and to have a long-term client. So that's great, Andy, thank you so much. And I love the fact that we can go from an investor who has a decent SaaS pot and can work with other SaaS investors that can buy buildings like this so that you can grow your legacy and you can help the people that you've been helping for the last 5-6 years. Then we can do the smaller investor who wants to get into HMOs, and they can then provide the support and move on service. And then you've got other investors who just want to have a few buy-to-lets, and they can then do the houses for the individual to live in on their own. And as you know, I do some social housing in my portfolio. I'm maybe a bit different to most people because my social housing is probably 70% of what I do, and 30% is the private rented sector. But you know, if we had investors who were just doing 10-15% of social impact investing, the difference that would make to your society, your community, I would think would be massive. Because if we could find 100 people who wanted to just do 15% of their portfolio as social impact investing, that is going to make a massive difference to society. And I think we have to, as investors, step up. You know, if we're making money from society, we should be giving back in some small way, whether that's one house out of 20 or whether it's, I don't know, a whole block of flats, whatever it is, or even if it's just a donation, we can do something to help support you and support other companies like you, because Everything's so much more expensive today. Councils have got no money because in the end, the money comes from the taxpayer when all's said and done. You know, it isn't a pot of gold that the government have. It's not their money, it's ours.
Yeah. Like across the community, it's not just veterans who are struggling with homelessness. It's vast. So because it's that vast as well, you know, we don't have any problems filling rooms when somebody is moving. We have got a huge waiting list. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So thank you so much for today, and hopefully the message is we can help and we can grow ourselves, and if we can do that, then that's great for everybody. So if you're interested in getting involved in helping with supported living projects, please reach out to me. My details are on the screen. And if you're interested in helping with Healthier Heroes to support any of the projects that they've got coming up, you can donate through their website. Andy, what projects have you got coming up in the near future that you specifically need money for?
Yeah, sure. So next September, we're taking 15 lads away to Spain, to the Picos Mountains, and it's costing £20,000 to do that. And that full sort of 10-day package is all based around sort of holistic health, well-being, mindfulness, meditation, breath work, cold water therapy. So it's an holistic space to reset their minds and bodies and souls to support them through their recovery. But 20 grand it's going to cost us.
That's amazing. So if you can donate anything at all, please go to the Healthier Heroes website and click on the link and make a donation. However small, it will really, really help. So thank you very much indeed for listening, and reach out if you want to get involved in supported living in any way.